Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Looks like Parikshit Prabhu either he has to reboot, I think. We'll chant Jai Radha Madhava. And Sujay, you're welcome to unmute if you're muted. Yeah, you're muted.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodarandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Janandana.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajak Ashtottara Sata Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajak Ashtottara Sata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shamaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine. We're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text number 52. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So I'll chant this verse 3 times and then you can chant. Yathā harau bhagavati nṛṇāṁ bhaktir bhaviṣyati sarvātmany akhilādhāre iti saṅkalpya varṇaya. Yathā harau bhagavati nṛṇāṁ bhaktir bhaviṣyati sarvātmany akhilādhāre iti saṅkalpya varṇaya. Yathā harau bhagavati nṛṇāṁ bhaktir bhaviṣyati sarvātmany akhilādhāre iti saṅkalpya varṇaya. Please chant.
Hare Krishna. Yathā harau bhagavati nṛṇāṁ bhaktir bhaviṣyati sarvātmany akhilādhāre iti saṅkalpa varṇaya. Hare Krishna.
यथा हरौ भगवती नृणां भक्तिर्भविष्यति सर्वात्मन्यखिलाधारे इति संकल्प्य वर्णय. हरे कृष्ण प्रभु.
Good.
यथा हरो भगवती नाम्नां भक्तिर्भविष्यति सर्वात्मनि अखिलाधरे इति संकल्प्य वर्णया. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you are able to control the screen because Parikshit Prabhu is having issue connecting to Zoom.
Yeah, I'm controlling. He's probably trying to call me right now. I hear the phone call, but
Yeah,
I'm in a different room.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I've got this. You can see the verse, right?
Yes. But I want to make sure you're able to scroll down also.
I hope so. Yeah. I think
Otherwise,
so.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
भगवती नृणां भक्तिर्भविष्यति सर्वात्माखिलाधारो इति संकल्प्य वर्णये. हरे कृष्ण.
Yes. Yathā, as much as, harau, unto the personality of Godhead, bhagavati, unto the Lord, nṛṇāṁ, for human beings, bhakti, devotional service, bhaviṣyati, becomes enlightened, sarvātmany, the absolute whole, akhilādhāre, unto the summum bonum, iti, thus, saṅkalpya, by determination, varṇaya, describe. Please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner by which it will be quite possible for the human being to develop transcendental devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Hari, the Supersoul of every living being and the summum bonum source of all energies. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the philosophy of devotional service and the scientific presentation of man's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prior to the age of Kali, there was no need for such a book of knowledge to know the Lord and his energies. But with the beginning of the age of Kali, human society gradually became influenced by 4 sinful principles, namely, illegitimate connection with women, intoxication, gambling, and unnecessary killing of animals. Because of these basic sinful acts, man gradually became forgetful of his eternal relation with God. Therefore, man became blind, so to speak, to his ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is not to pass a life of irresponsibility like the animals and indulged in a polished way in the four animal principles, namely eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. For such a blind human society in the darkness of ignorance, Srimad Bhagavatam is the torchlight to see things in the proper perspective. Therefore, it was necessary to describe the science of God from the very beginning, or from the very birth of this phenomenal world. As we have already explained, Srimad Bhagavatam is so scientifically presented that any sincere student of this great science will be able to understand the science of God simply by reading it with attention, or simply by regularly hearing it from the bona fide speaker. Everyone is hankering after happiness in life. But in this age, the members of human society, blind as they are, do not have the proper vision that the personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all happiness, because he is the ultimate source of everything. Janmadyasya yathā. Happiness in complete perfection, without hindrance, can be achieved only by our devotional relationship with him, and is only by his association that we can get freed from distressful material existence. Even those who are after the enjoyment of this material world can also take shelter of the great science of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they will be successful at the end. Narad is therefore requested or ordered by his spiritual master to present this science with determination and in good plan. Narada was never advised to preach the principles of Bhagavatam to earn a livelihood. He was ordered by his spiritual master to take the matter very seriously in a missionary spirit. Om Agyana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupakadamaikam Dadati Shapandantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before speaking, I would like to ask the permission of and blessings of all devotees, and particularly those who are senior either by age or advancement in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner by which it will be quite possible for the human being to develop transcendental devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Hari, the Supersoul of every living being and the summum bonum, source of all energies. In this verse, Narad Muni's spiritual master, and who is that? Lord Brahma is speaking to Narad and giving him instruction. Instructions like this have been given even from the beginning of this universe to disseminate the science of Krishna consciousness throughout the universe for the benefit of the us conditioned souls who are forgetful of our constitutional position as being an eternal servant of God. What to speak of ourselves when Garga Muni came to the home of Nanda Maharaj to do the name-giving ceremony for Lord Krishna and Balaram, he was greeted by Nanda Maharaj, and Nanda Maharaj, taking the position of an ordinary householder, said, "Oh, we are always absorbed in our material life, forgetful of the real goal of life, which is to become transcendentally conscious, Krishna conscious, service of Vishnu." So even Nanda Maharaj is saying that although his daily life was revolving around the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who he took as his young son. What to speak of ourselves, who are too much involved in material affairs, so that we tend to forget Krishna. Therefore, it's essential that every day, every day, we hear about, think about, chant, and remember the personality of Godhead through chanting the holy names, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, nectar devotion, and engaging in practical service also to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, we become covered very quickly by material consciousness. I don't know if that's your experience, it's my experience, unless I do this regularly. We were hearing yesterday in the class given by Srila Prabhupada, a nice verse from the Prema Vivarta. Krishna bhuliya jeev bhoga vancha kare. Krishna bhuliya jeev, it's Bengali. Krishna bhuliya jeev means forgetting Krishna, the living entity, us, bhoga vancha kare, in desiring to enjoy separately from Krishna. Krishna bhuliya jeev bhoga vancha. You know the word vancha, vancha kalpatarubhyascha. Vancha means desiring or wanting. Yeah. Vancha, bhoga vancha kare, wanting to enjoy. Hashate mayatare japatiya dhare. Immediately, Krishna, Maya grabs you and gets you completely in her clutches. So because we're in an atmosphere of forgetfulness, unless we regularly make an effort to put Krishna in the center and to remember him, we don't have much chance of getting out of this material world, which is symptomized by birth, death, old age, and disease. Not possible. Krishna gives us this wonderful opportunity through the grace of Srila Prabhupada and spiritual masters to get out. Just like if we're in a well, a deep, dark well, and someone throws down a rope to climb out, grab it right away. Otherwise, we might be stuck there. How long will we be stuck there in the well? We have no idea. It could be eons. So this verse is emphasizing the developed transcendental devotional service in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this material world, we're looking for happiness through different kinds of relationships. Loving relationship of man and woman, or parent and child, friend and friend, master and servant. So there's 5 relationships that are there between the living entity and Krishna, dormant within one's heart if one hasn't developed them. Shantaras is considered the neutral relationship, just on the border of between material and spiritual, but just above that. Shantaras, Dasyaras, serving, being a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, carrying out his orders. The example of servant, who is the example of servant? You know?
Hanumanji.
Yeah, Hanuman. He carried out Lord Ramchandra's orders to the T. Then Sakhya, becoming a friend of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's different, even in these different relationships, there's gradations. Some of the friends of Krishna are subordinate friends, and some of them are equal friends, and some of them are superior friends, but they're all within the category of friendship. And these relationships, unlike the relationships of the material world, are eternal, and they're not disappointing. In the material world, we find that, there's so many murder mysteries, and usually the first person to look at, if say a woman is killed or a husband is killed, they look at the partner. First person they look for, because even though there's a supposed loving relationship, it gets disturbed very quickly. Because in this material world, we don't really find examples of pure love. Usually people are in relationships to see what they can get out of it. They want the other person to satisfy their own senses. And the other person is also looking to their partner to satisfy their senses. And so it's an incompatible situation, because certainly everybody's sensual desires are different. They're not exactly the same. Even if you try to make a very good match by astrology or other things, it's never perfect. So there's always going to be conflict and disturbance. And because of that, that loving relationship is often broken within the material world, without the understanding that these relationships really, ideally, should be an opportunity to make progress back to Godhead. If one has a friend, how can I serve the friend to help the friend make progress back to Godhead? And that friend could also help me make progress back to Godhead. Or partner and partner, same thing, loving partner, man and woman partner. That's the basis of it. Of course, it's never going to be always harmonious, but there's if the goal is to help each other progress back to Godhead, then there's much better opportunity and hope that things will possibly go on better. But of all these kinds of relationships, servitorship, friendship, parent and child, and conjugal lover, Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all rasas. He can relate with everyone according to their individual relationship. So therefore he's called Akhila Rasamrita Sindhu. Have you heard this word before? Akhila Rasamrita Sindhu. It's a
No, Prabhu. That's a new name that I'm hearing.
Akhila Rasamrita. Rasas. Srila Prabhupada translated rasa as sometimes mellow, and sometimes he translated as something wonderful. Something wonderful. Of course, it's wonderful in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Akhila is the whole world, the whole universe. Rasam Amrita means nectar, the nectar. And he is a Sindhu, he's the ocean of all these different transcendental qualities and relationships. So that's where the title, Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure, comes from. Because Krishna is the central point of all rasa. Raso vai saha. And if we can make progress to develop our relationship with Krishna, then our life will become very sublime. So that's the point of regularly hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam and trying to understand the science of Godhead, hearing about the science of Godhead. What do you think he means by the science of Godhead? Well, that's explained in the Bhagavad Gita introduction. There are different aspects of this world. You have, who's the living entity? What is this material world? What is karma? What is time? And who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all other emanations? These things are very elaborately explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in a nutshell in the Bhagavad Gita, very elaborately described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, ultimately to help us remember and develop our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So who is the epitome of friendly relationships with a friendly relationship with Krishna? Yes? Any feedback on that?
Arjun was that initially, right, Prabhu?
Yes.
Before, yeah.
Why do you say initially?
Because then somewhere in the middle of the pastime on the Kurukshetra, then he realized after the Lord gave him instructions that he's now not the friend. He was treating Krishna as a friend. Now it's the spiritual master.
Yes, in the beginning, he accepted Krishna as his spiritual master, and then during the 11th chapter, when Lord Krishna exhibited his universal form, Arjun, because he was saying, "Oh, we sat on the same bedstead and we're joking, but you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead," because he was embarrassed or ashamed that he was treating Lord Krishna apparently disrespectfully a little bit, not treating him as if he were on the same level. Just like Srila Prabhupada said, the first time he met his spiritual master, he sat on the same level with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. You remember this? And he noticed all the other devotees were sitting below. Nobody was sitting on the same level. So then he realized next time, he's never going to sit on the same level as his spiritual master again. So the awe and reverence aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly there as when we have the position of servant that becomes more prominent. But in friendship, the intimate friends of Krishna, that concept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's reduced. They think this Krishna is just a wonderful person, whoever he may be, God or demigod, we don't care, but he's just a wonderful person. So there's 5, and then the Mother Yashoda and Devaki are there in the Vatsalya Ras. Friendship Ras is called Sakhya. Then the Gopis are Madhurja Ras. So Lord Chaitanya said that there's no greater service, devotees, than the Gopis. And the principal source of all the Gopis is Srimati Radharani. So Krishna is the reservoir of all those relationships. So there are 5 primary relationships that each of them, each of us have with the Supreme Lord. And there's 7 secondary relationships with Krishna. You probably are familiar with some of them, like chivalry, joking or laughing, dread, anger, compassion, astonishment, and ghastliness. So these secondary relationships are sometimes exhibited within the primary relationships. An example of laughing was one time a mendicant, or smiling, laughing. One time a mendicant came to the door of the house of the Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, and Mother Yashoda was going out to greet him with Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna says, "No, I don't want to go near this skinny villain. He's going to put me in his begging bag and take me away." So then, hearing this, the mendicant started smiling, laughing. Then one of the cowherd boyfriends of Krishna said, let me put some sweetmeat in your mouth. Open your mouth and I'll put a sweetmeat in. So Krishna opened his mouth, closed his eyes, and the cowherd boy put a flower in his mouth. And Krishna made a nasty, a funny face, and all the boys laughed. So those are examples of laughing in devotional service or in laughing relationship. Anyway, 5 primary, 7 secondary rasas are there. Then Srila Prabhupada was talking about in the age of Kali, there's no need for such a book of knowledge to know the Lord and his energies. Of course, this description or order given by Lord Brahma to Narada is happening way before Kali Yuga. So what do you make of that statement? Prior to the age of Kali, there's no need for such a book of knowledge. They didn't need the Srimad Bhagavatam before? What do you make of that? I'm asking.
Prabhu, can you repeat the question in the book of knowledge again, Prabhu?
It says here, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, prior to the age of Kali, there was no need for such a book of knowledge to know the Lord and his energies.
Is it because, Prabhu, because prior to Kali Yuga, it was, the different yugas were based on meditation, people had more memory, the reception was better. It wasn't as crazy as it is now. I think if I remember, there's I forgot who, but someone gave a lecture a long time ago that was the reason why I think, one of the reasons I think that Srila Vyasadeva wrote the Bhagavatam was because Kali Yuga, the minds are so fickle. It's, we don't have that intelligence or the strength, the memory power to store things in our minds. That's my guess.
It's based on, your guess is based on good information. Because Prabhupada says here, gradually, during the age of Kali, human society became influenced by the 4 sinful principles and gradually became forgetful of his relationship with God because of those 4 sinful principles. So, yeah, that's how I took it as well. I called Balabhadra Prabhu to make sure that that's what he also accepted that idea that it's not that the Srimad Bhagavatam itself wasn't required. He said no need. It's not that Srimad Bhagavatam itself, but that it wasn't needed to be written down in book form. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu, because
go ahead.
No, I was thinking when you mentioned that it's not that the Bhagavatam was not required, but because of the sinful activities, it, in the previous yugas, there was a control. I'm thinking there was a control of senses. Now in Kali Yuga, the sinful activities has really shattered everything in our minds and senses that it's even more of a need of Bhagavatam.
Yeah, and because of that, we can't remember. Previously, people could hear and keep it within their minds and their understanding very, very sharply. But now, and therefore, there wasn't much need of written books. But now, since the Kali Yuga, because of these prominence of these 4 sinful activities, our brains, our minds are so disturbed that we need a book to refer to because we can't remember things sharply like in the olden prior ages. Srila Prabhupada specifically mentions these 4 sinful principles make us forgetful. And one might have, I mean, I know that from reading, dealing with people who are involved with these kind of sinful principles, intoxication. People just don't get their lives together. They can't think straight as long as they're intoxicated. It's practically all pervading from early childhood. Children get trained up on how to drink alcohol and smoke things right from. You'll see that often families, even though a person is not supposed to, there's a legal drinking age of something, I don't know what it is, but 18 or 21, 18 maybe. They, even though that's the legal drinking age, they'll introduce drinking to a child on their, on New Year's Eve or on other holidays, just to get them and train them up into intoxication. And that's just a beginning intoxication. There's so many other different types of intoxication. And then the influence of attraction, men and women, is so strong that one will use all of their energy, a person will lose all of their energy chasing after one woman or one man, or many of them, and distracted in that way. It's very, very difficult for someone to focus on the spiritual aspects of life, right? Because the mind is so preoccupied with other things. Therefore, that verse, Krishna bhulya jeev, bhogavancha kare, forgetting Krishna. Well, how to forget Krishna? Well, these different things. Follow these different things. So it's not that there was no Srimad Bhagavatam before, but it was compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, and especially, always important, but especially in Kali Yuga, to regularly study the Srimad Bhagavatam and associated literatures. When did the Srimad Bhagavatam begin? Well, according to the Chaitanya Charitamrita and other places in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the breathing, from his breathing, the 4 Vedas are there, and the Puranas and the Itihasas are there. So they're there always from the beginning of creation, but written down and compiled and promulgated by Vyasadeva and his followers. So Lord Chaitanya especially emphasized the hearing and discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam as the Amalam Puranam. So, and when he had his discussion with Sarvātmanya Bhattacharya, he asked Ramananda Roy. He asked Ramananda Roy to tell him what was the goal of life and how to achieve it. And Ramananda Roy gave many suggestions, beginning with follow the regular principles given in the Vedas and give up sense gratification and offer your sacrifice to Vishnu. And whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away, do as an offering to him, Krishna. Like that, he gave many suggestions, and Lord Chaitanya said, well, actually, they're external. The first thing Lord Chaitanya accepted as a bona fide beginning of making progress to develop our relationship with Krishna was sthani stita shrutikatam tanuvagmano bhi. Stay in your position and regularly hear about the transcendental message and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's very, very potent in every age, and especially this Kali Yuga. And if we can regularly do so, and at the same time avoid the 4 pillars of sinful activity, then our progress in spiritual life can be very rapid, along with chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There are 5 activities of devotional service that the Nectar Devotion certifies as being able to inculcate devotional ecstasy even in a neophyte. They're so powerful. And you know those 5 aspects or 5 activities of devotional service? We can make a list of those for our
one of it is definitely hearing the Bhagavatam every day, Prabhu.
Yes. Regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam is one. There's 4 others. These are, in the Nectar Devotion, there's all these different activities of devotional service.
To visit the holy places.
Yes,
to visit the holy places.
To live in the holy place, like Mathura Vrindavan. So, in ISKCON also, to live in a holy place like Mathura Vrindavan, or in the Hare Krishna temple where transcendental service is going on regularly. That's a very strong aspect of devotional service. Anything else?
Chanting of the holy name.
Yeah. Chanting of the holy names. Something else?
Sadhusanga.
Yes. Association with devotees.
And worshiping the deity.
Yeah, you got it. Those 5. Good. Very good. So those things we can concentrate on in this human form of life. There's a nice verse that goes, Labdha sudulabamidam bahu sambhavante manushyam artaram anityam apihadhira. After many, many births and deaths, one achieves the human form of life, which, although temporary, affords one the opportunity to quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life, as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. Sense gratification is available in all forms of life, whereas Krishna consciousness is only available in the human form of life. So these points, I thought that's from the 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srila Prabhupada would often quote that verse. It goes along with this importance of progressing in spiritual life in Krishna consciousness. So the essence of that is smartavya satatam Vishnu vismartavyam jatuchit. The whole purpose of all rules and regulations is to always remember Krishna, and then when there's a positive thing, there's also the negative side. Don't forget him. Always remember and don't forget him. And that rule and regulation is all other rules and regulations are meant to serve that rule and regulation, to always remember Krishna. I was searching on Vedabase, using the search words rule and regulation, and I came to one lecture that Srila Prabhupada was saying, rules and regulations are not so important, he said. What do you make of that? Now, those were quotes. I quoted from. What do you make of that?
When a person comes to Hare Krishna, please accept our humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. When a person becomes advanced enough so that they are not doing sadhana, but not vidhi bhakti, but we're actually following out of their hearts, then the regulations and rules will be obeyed anyway. So then they don't think about that in their services.
Yeah, that's one way to understand that. I know that Srila Prabhupada in other places has said it's very, very important to follow the rules and regulations. When you get initiated, there's these 4 sinful principles. We have to agree we're not going to participate in them. But in this lecture, he was saying rules and regulations aren't so important. So I checked on the date that he gave that lecture. It was early in 1966, you know. So Srila Prabhupada's approach to Krishna consciousness was first get people to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and gradually then all the rules and regulations will follow. Smartavya satatam Vishnu vismartavyam jatuchit. All the other rules and regulations will follow if you can get people to remember Krishna. So it's not that, oh, we should forget rules and regulations. No, but the prime rule and regulation is to always remember Krishna and not forget him. And if we can do that, then the other rules and regulations will follow. That's how I understood it. In addition to what Parikshit Prabhu was saying. All right. Oh, it's already late. I was supposed to end at 8:45.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for a very nice class. I'm sorry that we had issues with the Wi-Fi here, but still somehow we managed to get started. And that's what's important.
I'm not very good at the Zoom, but I figured it out quickly by somehow. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, that's mercy. The class was supposed to happen anyway. So devotees, if you have any questions or comments, please unmute yourself and do that now. Maybe for another 5 minutes or so, then we have to end. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance to Grace of Prabhupada. Prabhu, in the translation I'm reading, it is described by Sri Prabhupada that he used the term for the human being to develop transcendental devotional service. And my limited understanding, Prabhu, is, one starts from devotional service and then slowly it progresses to pure devotional service. Is that right, Prabhu?
Yeah.
And I get, my question, Prabhu, is how does one know, or should one even be concerned or bothered about that? Oh, am I doing just devotional service or is it pure devotional service? I mean, should we even get so bogged onto that concept or just serve?
Well, we should do. Your good question. Good question. My understanding is one should continue to serve, and at the same time evaluate what our motives are in service, because there's devotional service, influenced by different modes of nature. So that's why Lord Chaitanya said, "Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janamani janamani shari bhavatad bhaktir ahaitu ki toyi." I don't what. Yeah, you can do devotional service, and it can be influenced by the desire to get money or fame or appreciation or to be appreciated by, the opposite sex. So continue to do devotional service, but self-reflect. What is my motive? And if we have a different motive and not a pure motive, then our devotional service probably will be checked at some point by either Krishna will put some obstacle in our path, and then we'll either have a choice to give up the devotional service or give up our attachments to the material part of the motivation, if that makes sense. Does that make sense at all? Or no?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, yes, Prabhu, it does. I was just thinking, in addition to that question of mine is the I don't want to use the word the concept, but the idea of self-reflection. What is my motive? Am I doing it right? How is my mindset? Because we talked about that in this age, Bhagavatam is so much needed. And but that was not so important in the previous age because of the mind and the false sinful activities. To basing on that point, Prabhu, is how what's the word? How clear is our self-reflection thoughts. I don't know if I'm making sense. Like,
well,
I'm trying to see how to explain
I
myself.
wouldn't say the Srimad Bhagavatam wasn't important before, but just the book, the written word of that's how I understood it.
Yes.
But and then the self-reflection, we Lord Chaitanya says in the second verse of the Shikshastakam, the holy name alone can render all benediction, and you have so many millions of names, etc. And they're not hard and fast rules, but I have no attachment for them. And then the very next verse, he says, Tunadapi suni chena torodapi sahishnuna amanina. In order to chant nonstop, continually, you have to become humble, humbler than the blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. So self-reflection, that's self-reflection means, humility means self-reflection. How can I do better? If I were actually doing well, actually doing really good, then I'd be in ecstasy with Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. But I'm not doing something right. I'm not doing something as sincere, as humble as I should be. So I need to improve. Please, Krishna, help me to understand how I can improve. And Krishna will help you. But the beginning of knowledge is amani tvam adambi tvam, humility. So I got to improve. We got to improve. Otherwise, so anyway, that's how I see it. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. So it's the foundation of it is humility.
Yes.
To be able to, yes.
And we call it sadhan bhakti. Sadhan means practice. And what are we practicing? We're practicing not just to go through the motions, but also in our effort to do it in a way that will please Krishna. And Krishna's, so many stories you hear about devotees who were dealing with Srila Prabhupada, like, Brahmatirtha, who the perfect questions, perfect answers devotee who was in the what was that called, Peace Corps, and he met Srila Prabhupada in India and Calcutta, and they had discussions, and then he came to New York afterwards. He moved back to the United States, and he met Srila Prabhupada in New York in 1976, and he thought, oh, Srila Prabhupada was going to be overjoyed to see him, because he was thinking in a proud way, and Srila Prabhupada ignored him. And he took it, which is probably true. And that didn't happen just with him. It happened with many of us devotees, that when we had a proud approach to Srila Prabhupada or Krishna, then Srila Prabhupada was not as he didn't reciprocate with us as much as we'd like. So Krishna is the same. As long as we have some our material motives are pretty strong, then we don't get the reciprocation. We won't get the reciprocation. So that happens. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you. Are there any other questions from devotees on this really amazing topic about Bhagavatam? It's just the first line of the purport is so nice. Srimad Bhagavatam is the philosophy of devotional service and the scientific presentation of men's relationship. That in itself says quite a bit. Says quite a bit. Are there any questions from devotees? Please do raise your hand, or you can just jump right. And I'm looking at the list of devotees, and if there isn't, thank you so much, Prabhu, for this wonderful class and setting the minds of us, at least here in Harrisburg, as we prepare for Rath Yatra. It really
best of luck to you.
Thank you, Prabhu. And we're really looking forward to your association and your blessings on Saturday too. And we thank all the devotees for joining us. Vanchakapribhyascha, Kripasindhudevika, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
How do I get out of here? I don't know.
Prabhu, I can end the whole thing and then you're good, Prabhu.
Oh, okay.